I'm here with Jessica for part 2 of the interview. We're going to be talking about one of her passions, which is plants. Why should people get into plants? I don't really understand plants that much. Why? Try to convince me. Why should someone get into plants?
I think for different reasons.
Yeah.
For one, kind of the obvious one is the pandemic. I feel like you might as well just start a new hobby or just something else to learn about. Because the cool thing about plants is it's very interactive. Of course, there's little things to do like taking care of the plants, repotting them, watering them, placing them in certain sunlight, things like that. But then there's a lot to learn as well, like a lot of technical terms. There's a whole community. Personally, the reason why is so I struggle with being mindful, like in the here and now, because I'm kind of a worrier and I'm a little anxious, and so with plants, they've taught me to check in and to stop and to see how they're doing from day to day, and to see because they'll tell you from day to day how they're doing, if they need water, if they're doing well, if they're struggling, things like that. So they've taught me to just stop and to pay attention, which is personally something that I need. Yeah.
And how has that impacted you, like from before you had plants? How has that impacted your life?
Well, I guess I'm naturally, and not everybody is, but you'd be surprised how many people have this in their nature, a nurturing person. So it helps for me to have something to take care of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't want to sound all motherly and, but it helps having something to take care of and to look forward and to see grow. So the way that's affected me, or what has been different from before and after, is that, I don't know, it kind of gives me just a sense of like satisfaction, I guess, to nurture something and to see it grow and to thrive.
Satisfaction? Does it make you happy to have plants? Like, is it something like that brings you joy?
Yes, it makes me very happy and joyful.
Okay.
I first started, I'm not going to lie, I first started because of kind of like the aesthetic appeal of plants. And then as I used some for decoration, I realized the mindful thing, that I had to stop and look at them daily, which I think sounds like a lot, which is probably a little bit more than what plants actually need. But they kind of taught me that. And so I realized, wow, I like this nurturing side of taking care of plants.
Okay. So plants kind of taught you how to be mindful.
Correct.
That's interesting for something that can't speak,
can't
really do anything.
But they do communicate.
How do they communicate to you?
So, like, for instance, when they want water, they're droopy, right? If they are overwatered, they'll tend to shrivel.
Okay.
If they need more sun, they'll literally stretch out to where their source of sun is. So, for instance, if one is in really low light, and then you have a window, and that plant wants more light, it'll literally stretch itself out and like reach towards. So they communicate. They'll tell you, hey, these are my needs. So they don't speak, but they do if you pay attention. And like I said, that's what kind of taught me to be more mindful of them.
Yeah. And how long does it take them to move? Do you know how long it takes them to be like, I need some sun?
I've seen it happen from day to day.
Really?
Yeah.
It's like one day?
Okay. I have one plant. It's called a prayer plant. So in the daytime, its little hands are like that, or the leaves are like that. And then as the sun sets, it starts to close up like that. Okay. So they move, and that's every single day it does that. Yeah. So, I mean, they move really fast.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know they could move that fast. I thought it took at least a week.
Yeah, I know. No, it happens from day to day.
Okay. And what are some is there anything else that they can communicate to you that people wouldn't think of, plants?
I would say some of them like to latch onto things.
Yeah.
So, for instance, I have a vine, and the vine is constantly trying to grab onto something.
Okay.
So, when I was in my apartment, I had it on my windowsill.
Yeah.
And it was constantly trying to like latch onto like the blinds. And I kept having to pull it off of the blinds, which is interesting, right?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, they have their own personalities. Because I knew that I was going to move, and I didn't own the apartment, so I didn't want to cause any kind of damage, and then I didn't want to have to pull it off of the but
Yeah.
But they communicate that too when they want to latch on to something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any funny stories with plants? Anything you can think of that was funny?
Yeah, I'm really new to the plant community, so I'm not a guru. I want to make that very clear. I'm brand new and I'm learning a lot, and I have friends that I go to for advice. But I think probably the funniest thing is my first plant that I received. I got it as a gift, and it was beautiful. It was a succulent.
Okay.
And the number one like unforgivable sin when it comes to plants, but especially desert plants, is not to overwater.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to overwater. In fact, overwatering is worse than underwatering. Underwatering, you can usually, the plants can recover from underwatering, but overwatering, usually it's like you kill the plant.
Yeah.
And so it's a succulent, and so it doesn't require a lot of watering. And I didn't know what I was doing, and I had never had a plant before, so I was watering that plant like every other day.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I overwatered it and totally killed it.
Oh.
That's actually not super funny, but
Well, rest in peace.
yes, rest in peace.
Do you name your plants?
Some of them I do, not
Okay.
all of them.
Okay.
Yeah, so I feel like if there's one with like a very specific character, I'll give it a name.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was the next question I was going to ask you. What personalities do you ascribe to your plants, if you ascribe any personalities to them?
Yeah. So some of them I'll say picky.
Okay.
So, like for instance, like if there's some plants that they're happy no matter what. Like they're green, they're thriving, you can move their environment, you can neglect them, and they look good.
Yeah.
And then there are some that you make a little change. You move them, you change their lighting, and you change their environment, and they always kind of react.
Yeah.
So I'll call them picky. I'll call them happy.
Okay.
When they're bright and they're green.
Oh, yeah.
And they're thriving. Clingy. Some are clingy. So like I said, my vine likes to attach to things.
Yeah.
So right now, now that I'm in my house, I'm like, okay, I'll just let my vine go park itself somewhere.
Yeah.
So now I have it like in my shower.
Yeah.
Like I have like a stand-up shower, like a walk-through spa shower. And so I have it there, and it's just on the wall. So now I can latch to the wall, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Some, I guess, are touchy. Believe it or not, like I said, some like to be touched. So I didn't believe it, but my friend, I have a ficus plant, and my friend came over and she was like, you know those plants like to be touched, right, and shaken, and I was like, okay. So I started doing it, and I started touching it like every day and shaking it, and it's grown like 2 leaves like in 2 or 3 days, and just because I started doing that.
Wow.
So they respond, like they're very responsive, like I said. So.
Yeah. So you'd learned that from a friend. Is there anything else that would have told you like they like to be touched? Is there anything, or don't want to?
My cactus.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, because it has a bunch of.
You'll cut yourself. It'll make you bleed. No, I don't know if there's one that I've felt like doesn't like to be touched or reacts that way. I just noticed that there are some that react better to touch than others.
Okay. Some
Yeah.
of them like it more.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that either.
Yeah,
That's
like I
interesting.
said, they have personalities, and I'm sure there's scientific explanations for all of these things.
Yeah.
But I just like to have fun and say that they have personalities.
Yeah. Do you know what the scientific reason is for wanting to be touched by a plant?
No, I'm sure it has something to do, though, with chemicals. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Okay. Just make something up. No, I'm just kidding.
I know. I could have just made it up. No.
You know, the philodendrons.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Okay, so what's your favorite plant that you have?
So that depends on the question. So,
Not prettiest.
okay.
Which one is your actual, like, you have the most of an emotional attachment to?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So that would be my poinsettia plant. I don't even think, like I said, I don't think it's my prettiest plant, but it's definitely the plant that I probably have the most connection to. Like you said.
Is that this one here?
Yes, I have it right
You
there.
mind if I carry it?
Sure.
There it is.
Doesn't have any poinsettias blooming, or like the red flower that people tend to associate poinsettias with.
Yeah.
But it is starting to color. So as it starts to get colder, it should start to color itself red.
To turn red. And why is this The one you have the most emotional attachment to.
Yes. So, so like I said, this whole plant thing is very new to me. So I'm still learning a lot. And I got this plant. So my first plant I killed, right? So I didn't have any plants for maybe a couple years.
Yeah.
So like last December, I got this poinsettia plant as a gift.
Yeah.
It was this poinsettia and my vine together, like as like a little bundle. And so I was like, cool. So that was my only plant, or those two were like my only plants at the time.
Yeah.
So I was like, cool, okay, I want it to do well. I want it to thrive. I didn't know anything, so I started taking care of it, and it was doing well.
Yeah.
Well, so like I said, I received it in December. In February, I went on a trip in February, and I went to Colorado. And during that time, I was like, well, I'm going to leave my plant out. I don't know what I was thinking. I was like, I'm going to put my plants out so that while I'm gone, it can be getting sun, whatever. Well, I don't know if you remember, but there was like a big freeze in February here in San Antonio.
Yeah.
And I was in Colorado when that happened.
Yeah.
And I remember instantly when I was in Colorado thinking, uh-oh, I left my plants out.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see what happens when I get back. And so I got back, and the plant was like, they were just like two little brown sticks. I mean, it was dead.
So this was three sticks?
Yeah, like little brown, like skinny and short. Like I don't even know what happened, but the whole plant like just disappeared.
Okay.
It was just dead. And it froze while I was gone.
Yeah.
And it was sad to me. Like it was sad because, like I said, it had been doing well for the first couple months. You know what I mean? That I had it. It was a gift from someone that I was close to. So I was very sad. My vine looked okay, which was interesting, but my poinsettia was completely gone.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird. I had like no hope for the plant, but in my mind I had decided for whatever reason, if there's any life left in this plant, I'm going to try to nurse it back to health. So I did. I just started, I kept it watered.
Yeah.
I kept it by the windowsill. I would check on it daily. I know it sounds cheesy, but I would talk to it.
Okay.
And I just wanted to see if anything could come of it.
Yeah.
And I actually didn't believe anything would come of it. I don't know what I was doing, and then before I knew it, I saw green.
Wow. I
saw green, and I saw it start coming back to life. And I mean, now it is what it is. You know, it's big again. It's not its original state, but yeah, I mean, it's full of green, and you have some red coloration in here for the poinsettia, because in the winter it turns red with the flowers. But yeah, so I think it taught me a lot. Like I think that's why I have such a connection to this plant.
And what lesson did you learn from this plant? And the second question, have you named this plant?
Believe it or not, I have not named this plant.
Okay.
What I learned from this plant is patience, because it took a lot of patience, because day by day, I didn't even see progress, I think, for weeks.
Yeah.
And day by day, I was like, okay, I'm not going to give up on it until I know that it's dead. And I don't know how long I was going to wait before I felt like it was confirmation. But I would say patience. And I think even just the idea of embracing like dry seasons or hard seasons. I mean, it's 2020. It's been a really hard year, I think, for everybody. But I know it's been that way for me. And I feel like this plant kind of taught me that there's a drought season or a dry season or even maybe a dead season. And then there's a season where you're green and blossoming. And you just got to be patient in that in-between time.
Awesome. I like that. Those are some very poignant lessons from
Thank you.
poinsettia, which I'm going to now name patience.
Oh, that's a great idea. Patience is a good one.
Okay. And then what's the prettiest plant that you have?
My prettiest plant, I'm very proud of my ZZ plant. I have very pretty plants in general, but I feel like this one has thrived and grown so much. Yeah. And this is my ZZ. It's not even a big ZZ, but it's grown since I've gotten it. So I look forward to the day that it's huge.
Yeah.
But this is, I think, a very good beginner plant too.
Yeah.
Just for anyone who wants to know like what a good beginner plant would be, I would say a ZZ plant.
Is that A-Z-I-Z-I?
No, it's literally ZZ
Plant.
plant.
Like ZZ Top?
Yeah, like
Okay.
Z squared.
Okay. I wanted to make that joke. I don't know
Oh my gosh,
why. Okay.
that was a good one.
Perfect. And then finally, just any tips that you would give someone who wanted to get into plants was like watching this once they get into plants. Because I know in my past, I've killed a lot of plants.
Yeah.
So like what tips would you give someone if they don't want to be killing plants, they want to have their plants survive?
I would say learn about your plant. Like I said, every plant's different. So when I get a plant, I literally Google either its common name or its scientific name, whichever one you have. And I learn specifics about that plant. I also have people in my life that I learn a lot from. So I have two really good friends, Madi and Harrison. I feel like they are very much more knowledgeable than I do. So I just have people that I go to and I talk to. Some people plug into communities. So I would say like that would be my main thing is learn about your plant and then don't be afraid to ask questions and look up information.
Yeah, I like it.
And don't be afraid to sing and talk and nurture whatever comes naturally in nurturing that plant. Just do it. There's nothing silly because like I said, they really do react. I do know the scientific explanation for that.
What is that?
And that is that they, so I'm a respiratory therapist. So we do release carbon dioxide or CO2 whenever we breathe out and whenever we talk. And they need carbon dioxide. So it helps them. So they actually do, people say like when they sing and talk to plants, they thrive and that there's a scientific explanation for that.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And then anything else related to plants that you want to share?
I can share what I feel like have been good beginner plants.
Okay.
Since I'm a beginner, and I think the ones that I recommend, I recommended my ZZ plants. I would say snake plants.
Snake plants.
Pothos.
Patos.
And then I would say if you don't want to water too much, like any succulent.
Okay. Succulent, but don't overwater.
Right, because I mean, I think, if you're new and you want something that you don't have to pay a lot of attention to, any kind of succulent or cactus, desert plants, those are really easy to take care of because you can just literally just sit them out and neglect it for a couple weeks and it'll do well. Those are good for beginners.
My brother actually got a fake succulent for a gift once. Yeah? And he was watering it. He was literally watering it.
Did he know that it was fake?
It took like a year or so. I have to share that.
That's pretty hilarious, man.
Shout out.
He probably thought he was doing a good job. He's like, my succulent is alive.
Yeah, that's just funny.
That is funny.
I think that happens. It looked very lifelike.
But yeah, they have some good, really convincing
and
fake
felt,
plants
it
out
felt
there.
real too. I don't know. They're good at that, yeah.
Yeah. That's funny.
What's one final thing? It doesn't have to be related to plants or anything we talked about today, but like if you could just say one final message or one important thing to the audience, what would that be?
I would say, I think I probably already shared this, but embrace every single season in life. And I think that's, like I said, that's something that I've learned with plants and the other video about home buying and all the seasons that came with that. Embrace everything. And I know that's kind of cheesy, but trust the process, I guess, with that.
I like it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you to my guest, Jessica. You did an amazing job.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, no problem. And have an amazing day.